I relocated to the US at a very young age. I didn't overdo, I didn't do more than myself. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be earning real money. Yay! I remember dabbling into crypto and it was very, very ill-informed. It doesn't have to be boom. You just wake up and you're a millionaire. So in today's video, I want to talk about money. I know there's a lot of YouTube channels that talk about personal finance and money and how to like be rich and whatever. And I'm not about to become a personal finance expert, but I just wanted to share my perspective on money throughout my 20s. I mean, this channel is about personal and professional development, and finance is a huge part of that. So I just wanted to talk and share my experience and how my money mentality has changed over the course of my adult life. And you know, I'm 28 right now. The way I saw money when I was 21 is different from the way I see money now. And just also talk about like the things that I've learned along the way, the things that I wish I knew earlier, and just how I'm choosing to move forward right now into my 30s. If it's your first time on my channel, my name is Moyo and welcome to the Corporate Baddie. On this channel, I share everything personal and professional development goals, and I hope to help you be your best self overall. If you would please do me a favor, subscribe to my channel so I can continue to grow this community, and I want you to be a part. Let's get to today's video. I relocated to the US at a very young age. I was like 18 or 19. So I've had to be independent at a very young age, and I've had to learn how to manage money, how to take care of myself without my parents' intervention. I used to work in college, and back then it was just all about saving for me. I saved as much as I could, and I think I even carried that mentality out of college, because you know, the way I saw it, I needed to have enough money in my bank account just for in case of rainy days. If anything happened, one of the things that I didn't want to be was stranded and or be having to depend on other people for money. So it was very important to me that I had like rainy day funds in my bank account. So I saved a lot of money. I always looked for ways to get a good discount. I was obsessed with discounts. Like I would look for coupons. I would like chase deals because I still wanted nice things, right? I was still a fashion girl and I wanted to wear nice clothes and nice shoes, but at the same time I didn't want to like break the bank. So it was important for me to like always find the good deals. I didn't necessarily focus on like quality. It was more about what's the best bang for my buck that I could get throughout college, and you know, back going into my first experience into actually getting. So in college I was earning what, maybe $15 an hour. I know I had like a really good campus job, so it was even one of like the higher earning jobs. I think $15 or $20 an hour, I can't remember. So that was like my income back then, and with then I was still like trying to save as much as I could. My mom paid for my rent, so the money I got from my job was like, you know, upkeep and extra money for me to be able to like pay for other things like bills and stuff like that. So I didn't overdo, I didn't do more than myself. I just stayed on my lane and tried to get my good discounts, do well in school. Oh yeah, and in other ways that I tried to make money was like I looked for scholarships. Guys, you would not believe the amount of like little scholarships that you can actually get while in college in the US. Like this isn't even like a huge like, oh, we're gonna pay your tuition salary, your tuition for in full. It was more like, you know, there's a $2,000 book scholarship this semester and they want to give it to like a black woman specifically, or like there's a memorial scholarship fund. Like there's just like And people don't always know about these. I found out through one of our NSB directors. That's an organization on campus, and like he would just like put us on to like all of these different scholarships, and they were very helpful because you just needed to like maintain maybe like a 3.5 GPA, somewhere even much less. Like you would, and the qualifications were like very low. Like the requirements to actually be qualified for the scholarships weren't like that ridiculous, so they were basically free money. So I remember getting a lot of those, like $500 here, $1,000 here, $2,000 here, like every semester till I graduated, and that was like perfect. So if you can look up stuff like that as a student, I'll highly recommend. My first big exposure to money was when I got my internship or co-op. It was my final year in college, and then I got a job, a full-time job as an intern, and they were gonna be paying me, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be earning real money, yay. I was on top of the world, and my mindset then was still like, you know, we're gonna save as much as we can. I was still living like a student. I was still thinking like a student, so like, you know, the scrap mentality was still there. So it was saving as much as I could, and I remember having to take care of like the rent and all of that once I started earning a little bit more. It was really nice to just have that, see that there's possibilities beyond college, what you're used to, and I didn't let that get into my head. I didn't let that get into my head. I, you know, still thought about how I could save more money, and, you know, of course, did I get nice things for myself? No, not really. I just, maybe once in a while, and it was just mostly like clothes and stuff. But yeah, so that was like that was still while I was in college, and then I got a full-time job after graduation, and this is like my first big girl job. I'm like excited. I'm gonna get my own place and, like, you know, get my car. And I didn't have a car back then, so it was like it was gonna be my first car and all of that. And even then, I remember I found out that one of my really good friends from high school was also going to be working for the same company in the same city. So we decided to live together. And I was still like in that space of, I want to save money. Honestly, at this point, I didn't even know what I was saving money for. It was just like, let me just like build that momentum. It's early career, and, you know, I don't really have much responsibilities right now. Thankfully, I didn't have student loans. My mom paid my tuition, so it was just basically me putting that money in the bank to kind of fortify my beginning, my humble beginning. Like, so I got a roommate out after college. I was living with my friend, and we split everything, all of the bills, food, all of that. We split everywhere. We're basically living like a couple. And then my first car was like, I got my first car for like $7,000, I think, total cash. It was like a rebuilt title, basically those cars that you get from like auctions, and then they kind of fix whatever was wrong with it. And it was pretty good deal. It was a Volkswagen Passat. Nice, cute little car, and I was like really happy about it. It's not that I didn't have dreams. I had dreams. I knew I wanted to get an SUV someday. That was really just as far as I went when it came to cars, because I'm not really a car person. So I was just like, I just want an SUV because I like the way they felt. I used to drive one of my friend's SUVs, and I just I felt like I was on top of the world. So yeah, I drove a Passat, and, you know, I was still like getting a lot of savings. I probably saved at least like 60% of my income back then, which was really great, because saving 60% of your income after expenses, that's amazing. With my full-time job, I started to think beyond just saving money. You know, there was like retirement plan. They start talking to you about retirement. That's 401k savings. So I started taking money out of my 401k. At the time, I wasn't maxing out my 401k, but I was contributing enough because my employer matched the 401k. So I contributed just enough to get the match, because that was basically free money. And I I just continued saving money. It wasn't until maybe a year after I started working that I started thinking of other ways to make money work for me. So my mentality now started shifting from, okay, not just saving. This money is just sitting in the bank. How am I going to start multiplying this money? And that's when I started thinking about investments and like, okay, how do I actually like invest in things that would help get more income. And then I was also thinking about going back to school, so I was putting aside some money for my master's, so that because I was going to pay for that. Well, my company was going to support, but it was just going to give me like 7 or 8K a year, so I still had like some out of pocket expenses, so I was putting some money aside for that. But also, like, investments, the term investment started coming up. Like, a lot of us that started working around that period started thinking about how we were going to make money work for us. To be honest, I didn't pay as much attention into understanding the fundamentals of investments even back then. It was just like, okay, yeah, they say stocks are good, let me put some money in the stock market. I opened a Robinhood account and just started like putting little by little, and I was just like pinching it because I still had that strong savings mentality, like, God, I don't want my money to just disappear. So I wasn't sure what this investment, this stock market was about, and I was just like, I'm just gonna put a little into it, and let's see how that works out. And then some of my friends were like starting to buy houses. I thought about buying a house, but it was like just something that seemed like a lot. Like, in retrospect, I sometimes I feel like maybe I should have, but I think I made the best decision for myself back then. Like, I knew that having a house came with a lot of responsibilities, and I just wasn't ready for that. And like, that's okay. I think that a lot of times the way we've been conditioned, especially in the US, is that, okay, you graduate, put some money together for a down payment and go get a house. It doesn't have to be that way for everybody. Like, all of these personal finance gurus are gonna tell, oh yeah, you need to invest in real estate. There's so many other ways to invest in real estate apart from getting a house. You can, get into REITs, real estate index funds, basically. I'm not gonna go too deep into like education on like stock market and all of that. There's so many resources that you can read, but I'm just sharing my personal experience. One thing I wish I did more was actually like understand the basics of investing more, like stock market, understand index funds. I read up on them, but I just never really understood fully because, as you guys may know, finance is very complex. It's super complex. But I think I probably would have put in a little bit more and thought about money from like not a get rich quick, because that was when Bitcoin started to become more popular, and at least that's when I became more aware of Bitcoin. And I wish that I thought about money from like a steady growth perspective. Like, money doesn't have to be boom, you just wake up and you're a millionaire. No, it doesn't work like that. I mean, some people are lucky, but the percentage of people that actually get that kind of money is very, very small. Putting that in perspective, and like, a lot of it is luck. You don't want to gamble with your money and then you just lose everything. It happens to a lot of people. So like, thinking about money from a perspective of a steady growth, like just compounding interest. Like, okay, you put some money now and in 5 years, in 10 years, it's growing steady, 8-10% interest rates every year. That's a lot. If you compound it over like 20 years, you're like looking at huge amounts of money. So I think that's one thing that I wish I did more, because I remember dabbling into crypto and it was very, very ill informed. And it was peer pressure mixed with like FOMO, and I was just like, yeah, I just need to get in so I'm not missing out. But I probably would have done better in that aspect. Yeah, so let's talk about now where I'm at with money.